All right, people. How are you tonight? Tired?
Mediocre.
Totally me too. So if you were to guess my age, you'd probably say what? 78?
27.
Roughly.
1,000 years old.
Yeah,
Before the
exactly.
computer's time.
I feel 1,000 years old, and daylight savings hits me hard. So normally it's like 8 o'clock I get tired. Now it's about 6:30 I get tired. So we're gonna go through this together. Okay. Cool. All right. I have good news and bad news. No, actually, it's really only bad news. I know. Did you know that tonight is the last night that we do this until January?
Yay.
I know, it's so sad, isn't it? Wah, 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 wah. Yes, exactly. Yes. So I know when I say that, like it's kind of a downer for everybody, but it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna be back in January. And we'll actually be here next week doing something just as fun. But yeah, tonight is the last night we have class. Gene and tissue. It's I know. Okay. So tonight's the last night of class for this semester. So we will make it a good one. And tonight, that's right, we're going to be talking about loving your neighbor. Yes.
I have an offline comment, which is kind of funny, because today is the last day of our first quarter of school.
It's hilarious.
Wow.
Cool. All right. Very, I'm not thinking of the word because I'm old, but there's a word that describes this. Coincidental. Yes. Very coincidental. Okay, so what was the first thing we learned this year in confirmation?
Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, Lord's Prayer. What were you gonna say?
Martin Luther.
Technically he's right, but you had the answer I was looking for. So you're both right. How about that? So for our prayer tonight, we are gonna say the Lord's Prayer. And we're gonna say it together. By now you really should, like, this is something we should memorize. So but if you haven't memorized it, you can read it off the screen. So let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right, so hopefully as we were saying that, you remembered what some of these different parts of the Lord's Prayer mean and why they are important. So we're going to move on to some updates. So volunteering, we talk about this every week. So I don't have in here any of the worship ways to volunteer, but you all know that you can volunteer at worship. Here at Mount Pleasant, there's a couple things going on. Sunday, November 19th, which is not this Sunday, but next Sunday. While you are at the Packer game, we're going to have the opportunity to decorate the church. We call it Hanging the Greens. So it's basically decorating the church for Christmas, and it's right after church service, and it's kind of fun to do. So if you're able to help with that, that would count as a volunteer or a service connection.
Does it fly with middle school or primary school?
No.
You should know.
But your parents know because it was in the email that went out yesterday. Open table is also Sunday, November 19th. We're always looking for volunteers to help serve that meal. Generally, the kids that we have help out with drinks and tables and so on. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Wow. That's, if I've ever seen a ringing endorsement, that's one. Thank you. But that's another good way to get a service connection. And then the community meal is the following Sunday, the 3rd. And there we're looking for people to both help prepare and transport and set up. Yeah. But on the Gregorian calendar, it's. All right, volunteering at LCR, still that RNS meat sale distribution on December 3rd. So anyway, remember you do need service connections. So make sure that you find some ways to volunteer. All right, a couple other updates. I'm gonna have I have a favor. If like you have ear pods in, like these, if you could just take them out, that would be just great. Thank you. So there is a confirmation retreat. Have any of you ever been to this confirmation retreat at Lutheran before? Okay. I have too. I've done about 6 times. I was not in middle school all 6 times. I did not take 6 years of middle school. It's at Lutheran. It's February 23rd to 25th, and hey, it's fun. So it's 2 nights, 3 days. There's toboggan run. There's what's the ball thingy? No.
Gaga ball.
What's it called?
Gaga ball.
Thank you. Gaga ball is there. It's excuse me. It's a lot of fun, and so sign up is on for the next several weeks. I think it costs $75, and then the church also picks up the rest of the cost for that. So if that's something you're interested in, sign up for that. And then the last thing is next week here we have shopping. So who can give me the overview of what's going on next week? Give me one detail.
We get assigned a store.
You do get a sign store. Thank you. What else? What's another detail?
We donate it.
You donate the store.
Yeah, we donate. We donate like the
Entire store.
food that we get
You donate money.
to the we we buy the food.
Yes. So you bring money
Yeah.
to buy food.
We each have, or everyone has like their own list of stuff they have to pick up.
What else?
You get food.
We get food. Yes. What else? Yeah.
We drop the food off
Where?
at the church.
Where?
I don't know.
So Holy Communion Church here in Racine runs our food pantry for the city, and we drop all the food off there. So basically, there are lots of families in Racine that can't afford or don't have the resources to get food for Thanksgiving. And this is our opportunity to buy a lot of those types of things, stuffing and potatoes and vegetables and so on for families for Thanksgiving. So next week, please bring money that you can donate to that purchase. It's fun when you are able to buy food. It's more fun when you're able to buy a lot more. It just is. So please do that. Excuse me. And then at 6 o'clock next week, there is pizza. So come early for pizza and stay for the shopping. It should be a lot of fun. Any questions on that? All right. I'm going to teach. Does anybody else want to teach? Do you really? Yeah.
You can do it.
All right. So our lesson focus today is all about what's one word that describes what we're talking about today. What do you think? Neighbors. You know what? That was a great answer. Have a donut. That's right. You have a donut. Yes. Tell me how they are. Are they? You're getting. Yeah. Neighbors. And who are our neighbors?
Everybody. And
That where?
everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. Very good.
Do I get a donut?
That was funny. I didn't want to see if you'd answer. I think that's great. It's like a mystery.
Do I get a donut?
You guys ring pop. What do you want? All right.
Thank you.
Braggery.
So here's your first task. I want you to think of somebody, and I'm serious about this, okay? I want you to think of somebody in your life that you don't like. We're not talking siblings here. I know. I have 2 brothers as well. Okay, I get it. But I want you to think of somebody you don't like, okay? And I mean really, somebody you really don't like.
Do we have to like personally know them?
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Somebody who treats you poorly. And I'm serious about this. I might even ask you a name, so I want you to think about this person. Somebody who just plain isn't kind, right? Oh yeah, yeah, you know. Somebody you wish just wasn't around. We all have these. I got a person right here. Oh yeah. Is everybody
No.
think harder?
I'm trying.
Okay, we're gonna come back to this in a
Maybe
little
some new one.
Think of that one person.
Annoying is fine. If annoying is the best we can get, yes. Okay? We're gonna come back to this, but I want you to think of this person. I'm serious about it. If I was mean, I'd have you write a name down. I'm not mean. Okay? Everybody have the person in their head?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna talk about this later. But first, we have some key words. Our first word is neighbor. Tell me, what is a neighbor?
Everyone in the entire world.
Everyone in the entire world. Yeah, usually somebody lives by, but in God's term, it is everybody in the entire world. Yeah, let's have a donut. That's a great answer by you. All right. This starts to get harder. Accompaniment. What do we think accompaniment is?
And you're like spending time with someone.
It's actually pretty close. Pretty
I was
close.
gonna say.
You were going to say that?
No.
Oh, I was going to say. All right. Yeah, spending time with someone. Walking with them rather than leading or following. It's a good job, ladies. Have it done. You're welcome. Raise your hand if you think life is fair. All right. Very good. Very good. All right. Yeah. So accompany is being with somebody. Right? It's when you say walking with them rather than walking ahead of them or behind them. Right? Think about friends or maybe it's family, grandparents, something like that you spend time with. Accompaniment is important because accompaniment is something that we do with our neighbors if we are good neighbors. Charity. What do you think charity is?
Good things. Doing good things for other people.
Do it. Okay, this is good. Let's look at a time frame because there's another word we're going to talk about in a little bit. No, it's not. Well, it's a short-term response to an immediate need. In other words, and yes, usually it's good. It's not it's not bad things, right? So a short-term response. Give me an example of charity. What's something you can think of? Have a donut. What's something you can think of that would count as charity? Yes.
Find something that you donating to charity. Like donating something you
I
don't
love it when we use the word in the definition.
Don't-
So
Giving something,
donating to charity is
giving something you don't want to someone else.
okay. Something you don't want to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's kind of charity. If it's a need, absolutely. The idea of because you don't want it, teeters on the edge. But that's a good answer. What else? Buying something for somebody else if they need it. Yes, absolutely. This is very close. But you already haven't done it. What do you think?
As an example,
Yes.
when Hawaii had that fire, the people right when those were done, like the people who helped other people like rebuild their houses and like stores and stuff.
Absolutely. It's an immediate need and it's giving something, right? Whether it's time, sometimes it's giving things, sometimes it's giving your time or your talents. Have a donut. I think that's great. It's taken me 13 weeks to figure out that bribery works. This is great. What else?
Giving the people that could use it.
Say that in English that I could hear.
Giving the people that could use it more.
Giving the people that could use it more. How about an example?
Like donating something to people that need it.
That's not really an example. That's saying the same thing over. So when you come up with an example, let me know. How many? Raise your hand if you donate or if you have charity. If you offer charity, raise your hand. If your hands aren't raised, that's lame. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. Justice. This one's a little bit harder. Justice. What do you think?
Is it like the stuff that's right and wrong, or is it just like getting what you deserve?
It's a little bit more. It's a really good guess. It's a really good guess, but it's a little bit more than that. What do we think? Go.
I bet my choice, man.
Oh, okay.
Like getting like your rights and like getting like the things that you deserve as your rights.
Yep. So this is basically, it's a long-term response, okay? Justice is getting what you deserve, right? in a long-term way. So charity is more short-term, justice is more long-term. All right? So we're going to talk a little bit about charity and neighbors and how we treat our neighbors. All right? So we start with, who is our neighbor? Raise your hand if you think the answer is everyone. Okay. Well, it is everyone, but I want to know, like at the church, who's the neighbor? Who's our neighbor at church? What do you think?
Everyone a part of the church.
Yeah, kind of. So this is Google Maps. Yeah, I know. I was able to do this. So this is our church. Does anybody know anybody that's around us? Who's around us at church?
Like the senior home.
The old people, absolutely.
The whole
Shouldn't put it.
I can say that because I'm one of them. All right, so the Lincoln Villas. Yes, these are.
Elderly.
Thank you. That's very kind. Yes. Who else is our neighbors?
People we live next to.
Well, there's some other apartments out in here, and there's some houses in here. Who else?
Aren't there other churches around it?
Well, they aren't here, but oh my God, we zoom out. We have more neighbors,
How do you do that?
right? It's true. I know. I'll show you sometime. So, let me ask you this: How many of you think that this is the definition of our neighbors here at church?
No.
Okay. Well, surely it must be this. So now we've got the old people, right?
Elderly people.
We have more elderly people here, but now we also have some apartments. We've got the orthodontist. We've got
Walmart.
my wife used to live right there. That's a neighbor. Okay, so that's kind of cool.
She doesn't want to live there anymore.
Well, she's married to me, so now she doesn't live with her mom and dad. We moved on from that.
Live there?
Yeah. So
You still go there?
they moved too, but they used to live there.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyhow, so who thinks this is the definition of who the church's neighbor is?
No.
Okay. Bam. All right, this little circle right here, that's us.
I can
I know. So, we've got the old people back in here.
Elderly people.
Hey. We've got Walmart. We got schools now. We got Starbucks. We've got the Greek Orthodox Church. So yes, we have other churches. We have Case High School over here. We've got stores. We've got houses everywhere.
no.
Is this getting closer to being
No.
the church's neighbor?
No.
In my opinion, it's just like anyway.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay. So you're kind of right. If we were to say our immediate neighbors,
Yeah. Oh.
raise your hand if you're comfortable with this being our immediate neighbors. Wow. Okay. Tough crowd. I'm actually with you. I would call this our immediate neighbors.
Should I get a donut now?
Yeah. Agreeing with me isn't enough. I mean, if that was the case, everybody would just not. Okay. So anyway. So can we agree that neighbors, immediate neighbors, are those people around us in our general neighborhood? I like that. Should we say that?
Yeah.
Okay. We good with that?
Very immediate.
Meta.
Sadly,
Vicinity.
it is not what Jesus would say.
Jesus would say the state of Wisconsin.
No, he would not say the state. He would not say the world.
That's the universe.
Not even the universe, not even the galaxy. No.
Nobody.
The multiverse.
No. Jesus has a different definition of neighbor. Okay. What in the world would he describe as our neighbor? What do you think?
Good people.
What do you think? Heaven. No.
Good
It's a
people.
good guess, but no. What do you think?
Everything and everyone.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Stevie, you already got it. I didn't get
Everybody other than
So who is our neighbor? What do you think?
I was answering that Jesus question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in my opinion, neighbors are the people who would do the same thing for you that you would do for them.
It's even more than that. You're getting closer, but it's even more. Raise your hand if you do not have a Bible. Bring your Bibles, people. What do you say?
What?
How incredibly strong you are.
Wait, what?
Four of them.
All right, I want to look up Matthew chapter 5. Matthew, is Matthew the Old Testament or the New Testament?
Depends on what you want.
No, it really doesn't. Matthew is either the Old Testament or the New Testament. Matthew is the New Testament. Thank you very much. That was brilliant. Thank you for saying New Testament. Have yourself a donut. Thank you.
I think
Look at the break. All right. Matthew 5. Raise your hand if you have Matthew 5.
Kyrie.
Who would like to read Matthew 5? Would you like to read Matthew 5? Would you like a donut for that? I'll bet you would. Go ahead. So we want to listen carefully, loud and proud.
You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same?
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that was so good. Have a donut.
I'll do something.
I bet you will.
Dumb.
All right. So, the most. Yeah, napkin. The most important line in there was the very first line. Okay? Who would read that very first line for me again? Go ahead.
You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.
Who hates their enemy? Raise your hand if you hate your enemies. Hate's a strong word, but hey, it is what it is. Who thinks we should love our neighbors? Who thinks we should hate our enemies? But what happens next? What's the next line?
But I say to you, love your enemies, and pray for those who persecute.
Ooh. Who's ready to love their enemies?
Me.
Nope.
No. Ixnay on the outlay.
Jesus.
No. Does anybody even know Pig Latin anymore? No.
They are
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Did you get donut already?
Yeah.
Okay, that should be. All right, so Matthew, the book of Matthew, in there, Jesus says it's not enough to love the people. Your neighbor is more than just the people who you take care of and who take care of you. Your neighbors are also your enemies. Comrades is the easy part.
your minions.
Not really. No, it's the people that you like and the people that you don't like. That's a tough one. Can anybody think of a story in the Bible where Jesus talks about helping others?
Good Samaritan.
Was Jesus there?
Bam! Yes. You know what? You get a second donut because that's so brilliant. Yes. All right. So the Good Samaritan. How many of you know this story?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll see. There will be a little bit of a quiz. We'll see if you know this story so well.
I know this one.
Hot shot. All right. So we're going to start with the Good Samaritan. That's right. Okay. So in Luke chapter 10, this is a good one. All right. So this an expert in the law. Okay. When Jesus was around, there were people always trying to trip him up. Okay. It's like, I'm going to get him this time. They wanted to trick him to make him look bad, look stupid and stuff. Okay. And so this expert in the law says, I'm going to get him this time. All right. He goes, how do I get eternal life? What do I do? And Jesus says, what does the law of Moses say? Anybody know what the law of Moses is?
Isn't that just like the image?
It's more than that, actually. It's more than that. Any ideas? Does anybody know what the Torah is?
In this, didn't he say what the first 5 books of the Bible?
Yes, also known as the Pentateuch of Moses. So the first 5 books of the Bible are basically all the laws. They contain all the laws of the Jewish faith. Yes?
In our books, it doesn't say what is the law of Moses. How do you do it? It says, what is written in law? What do you read there?
That's right, because this is the Lego Bible, which is a little bit different. The translation just isn't quite the same. So,
The Lego Suite.
what's that?
The Lego Suite.
English.
Like when you.
So, when it says the law of Moses, basically what it means is the first 5 books of the Bible. The books of, not so much Genesis and Exodus, but certainly Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. There's just a bunch of rules in there, a bunch of laws. And those are the laws that the Jewish faith tends to follow. The 10 Commandments are in there, but there's a lot more. Okay? So, Jesus asked him, what does the law of Moses say? It says, love your God with all your heart, your soul, and your strength. And Jesus had this one too. He said this as well. Love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? What does that mean? Love your neighbor as yourself. What do you think that means? Treat others how you want to be treated. Right?
Pretend that the neighbor was you, and how you would feel if you were hated.
Or how you want to be treated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like put yourself in other people's shoes.
Good. Yeah. Absolutely. You had a donut yet?
Yes.
You are honest, and I appreciate that. I'm not going to give you another donut, but I appreciate it. All right. So yeah. So basically, love your neighbor. Right? That's what we're called to do. Do you think that's the right answer? Does Jesus like that answer?
No.
We would like a lot of answers, right? Let's see. He does like that answer. He says, yeah, you're right. Okay. But now he gets a curveball. The guy says, who is my neighbor? We've already answered that question. Who is our neighbor? Everyone. That's the easy answer, right? But what did I tell you earlier? Does Jesus think that's the answer? No. So let's find out what his answer is. He says, okay, I'm going to tell you who your neighbor is, and I'm going to tell you through a story. Does anybody remember what these stories are called? Parables. Yes, parables. So Jesus is going to tell a parable, which is a story with a lesson built into it.
It's a 2 in 1.
Both. It's a story and a lesson.
That's why I said it's a 2 in 1.
Both. It's a story and a lesson. You say it again, I'll say the same thing. Try it again.
It's a 2 in 1.
Yeah, it's both. And story and a lesson.
It's a 1 and 2.
All right. So Jesus says there's this guy. He's traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. Does everybody know where Jerusalem is? What country is Jerusalem in right now? Well, it's a good thing we're in confirmation, not geography class. Okay. What country is Jerusalem in?
2 of them right
Yes. What? Give me one of them.
now. Palestine,
And
Israel.
Israel. Okay. So back then it was Israel, and Jericho is also there. So he's walking from Jerusalem to Jericho, having a great time. But wait, he stops having a great time.
Oh my.
I know. Even back then this happens. So these robbers, he was set upon by robbers.
How can you not see them?
Because they're tricky. Okay, there was a diversion. Anyway, they beat him up, they took his clothes, and they left him half dead. I know. Dun, dun, dun. Okay? So we have a guy, he's walking to Jericho, and he's half dead. So this is the important part.
Oh my god. He was a wizard.
Well, I think he's having a tough time. He's half dead. What do you want? Okay? All right, so we have our half dead guy here. A priest. This is really important, okay? A priest walks by. Why does Jesus say a priest walks by? Why does he specify that it's a priest? Why do you think?
Because they're of high honor in the church.
Absolutely. Raise your hand if you think a priest would do a good thing. Raise your hand if you think today a pastor would do a good thing. Of course, right? Back then, no different. Priests are supposed to do good things. So this priest walks by. What does he do with the half-dead guy?
He's
Fair.
He walks right by. He walks right by. Okay? He passed by on the other side. Huh. A Levite. Raise your hand if you know what a Levite is.
Is it somebody named Levi?
No, but you're actually closer than you think. What's a Levite?
The guy or a girl that writes and knows how to read and their name.
That's rewrite, not Levite. So good try, but no. Nate, I thought you raised your little finger.
It's like a scholar, a person who studies the law.
So somebody who studies the law, who happens to be from the tribe of Levi, which is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? So a Levite is somebody who's like, again, really high in the community. Okay? I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe me. Yeah. You look at me and think, you know, he would certainly stop. Smart,
No.
good looking, sense of humor.
No.
Okay? Certainly he'd stop to help a half-dead man. So imagine that. So this guy, again, same thing as the priest, held in really high regard. Of course these people would do good. Okay? Do you think the guy stops? The Levite, if you will? No. Passing by on the other side. This guy's getting a little bit past half dead now. Okay? He's having a rough time. Here's the important part. But a Samaritan.
Bob Ross.
Hey. Bob Ross may, in fact, no, Bob Ross was not. But this is the Bob Ross version of Bible time. It's hard to what you do like. Anyway, a Samaritan. How many of you know anything about Samaria back then?
It was a country.
It was a country, yeah. It was a region, but yes. What do you know?
Enemies of Israel?
Not just enemies, bitter enemies.
So.
Okay? Imagine like North Korea right now with the United States. All right? Maybe worse.
We don't like
Twice.
Okay? So if you're from Israel and you hear the word Samaritan, the first thing you think of is ugh. Those people. Right? They're just the worst. They're the absolute worst. Maybe raise your hand if you're a Packer fan. Okay. Imagine if I said a Bear fan walked by. You're like, oh,
my dad.
they're the worst. Okay? This is worse than that. So Jesus says a Samaritan walked by. And the point is, so when he says Samaritan, you're supposed to think, oh,
Not a Samaritan.
they're the worst. Okay? So, remember at the start of the story, this guy asks it, right? Who's my neighbor? When Jesus says that a Samaritan walks by, what do you think this guy thinks? They're the worst. And what do you think this guy thinks Jesus will say as far as what the Samaritan does? He thinks, yeah, well, of course the Samaritan's going to walk right by because they're the
Worthy.
It's the worst. They're the worst. All right. Priest walks by, passes on the other side. Levite walks by, passes on the other side. Getting close to not half dead, like more than half dead.
Bob Ross walks by.
Bob Ross, the Samaritan, walks by, and he felt compassion.
He's got a unibrow.
He stops,
His clothes.
and he doesn't just stop.
He's a mummy.
He doesn't just stop, but he takes care of it. He puts bandages on the guy,
His clothes.
and then he says, "You know what? You're good. Have a great day. Godspeed."
Yep.
No, no. What do you think he does?
Brings them to an inn and then like pays for them.
You bet. Yes. Take care of him. Whatever else you spend, I'm going to stop back later and pay you. So he went above him. He didn't just take care of him at the road. He says, you know what? I'm going to make sure I do this right. Right? It's a good move, isn't it? What's that? You know, I understand. I understand. So, Bob Ross, the Samaritan, says, whatever else you spend, I got it covered. Okay? So Jesus says, which one do you think was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by robbers? Was it the priest?
No. Yes.
What?
Was it the Levite?
No.
Was it Bob Ross the Samaritan?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you think this guy got it right? Absolutely, yes. The guy's the one who showed him mercy, right? Jesus says, go and do the same. That's how we treat our neighbors. Okay? You with me on the story so far?
Yeah.
Here's the hard part. Who's this today?
Us.
Simon
It's
Cowell.
just an us. No, it's not Simon Cowell. No. Okay? Is this our neighbor?
Yes.
Maybe.
It's our enemy.
Let's see. So if that's your neighbor, which one are you? Are you walking by on the other side? Raise your hand if you think you're Bob Ross the Samaritan. Raise your hand if you don't know. Maybe you would walk. You would keep walking.
What if I would call 911?
You either keep walking or you stop.
Stop and call 911.
You either keep walking or you stop. Stop and think about this a little. What do we do?
Stop? Are you required to do all the work yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Which one are we?
Walking, can you walk?
Bob Ross.
You think you're actually Bob Ross? You would actually stop and help this person?
Yeah.
Ross is my persona.
I'm legitimately curious. Raise your hand if you think you're Bob Ross, the Samaritan.
Oh.
So what you're saying is if you saw somebody lying on the ground, sick and unable to help himself, you'd stop and help that person.
Yeah.
You would. Yeah. Really? Looking for an excuse to give you a donut. It was a good answer. Take it down. All right. We'll see. I think you're all Bob Ross.
Choose your fighter.
Why don't you go back to that person? Start thinking about this again. Someone you don't like. A person who treats you poorly. Person isn't kind. That's right. Somebody you just wish you weren't around. Raise your hand if you have that person in your head. Huh? Yep.
I'm not stopping.
Simon Cowell.
That's this person. If Jesus is parable, that's the person.
I think I know what I do.
And so then the question is, now who are you? You're either one or the other. You either passed on the way by, or you're Bob Ross the Samaritan.
I'm not gonna go back to that.
So, the question for you, when you see these people, do you walk by?
Yeah.
Or do we do what Jesus asked us to do? Good question.
I know what I would do.
What would you do?
I would tell their friend to do something about it.
That's not enough. Yes.
I would have to be Bob Ross, because if somebody saw me walking past and they might think that I'm the murderer.
Well, but it's more than this. Again, think about that person. Who is this person? They aren't lying in the gutter. No. Jesus isn't talking about that. Jesus is talking about, think of this person you just don't like. It's an analogy. And who are you?
I'd have
We're
to.
supposed to be Bob.
Raise your hand if you think we're supposed to be Bob Ross, the Samaritan. Raise your hand if you think that's hard. It's really hard. Okay? And this is what we're called to do. Yes.
I would say this is the only time I'm helping you. You should be grateful for it. Wait.
Yeah.
And then help him and then never help him again.
That's not the way it works, though.
I know. What?
Yes.
So this is technically our vocation.
This is what, yes, this can be our vocation. Very good callback. You know what? That's donut worthy. Okay?
She's digging for it.
Donuts.
So, we are called to be Bob Ross, even if it's hard. All right? And this is what makes church sometimes really, really challenging. because we're called to do the hard thing. So as we go through the next week or so, I want you to think about this, okay? Think about who these people are and what it means to be Bob Ross the Samaritan, okay? It could be little things, okay? But this is what we're called to do. Everybody get it?
Unfortunately, yes.
It's hard. Yes, Stu.
Just think if you were the guy that was beat up.
Yeah. Would you want Bob Ross the Samaritan, no matter who this person was? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to do this quick.
Use that against me.
God's love is A, B, C, or D. I'm looking for people who haven't talked yet because I want to give away the rest of these donuts to people who haven't. I see nothing but people who talked. All right, what do you think? B?
D.
D. You know what? I'm looking to give away donuts. Very good. Nice job. Okay, charity. The difference from being a neighbor in that A, you can give a charity without being neighborly. B, the amount given is more. C, charity begins at home. Or D, neighbors aren't really needy. What do we think? Absolutely. Very nice. Okay. Finding a neighbor means caring for people who live far away. Takes a mind over to all kinds of people. It's simple. Hey, look next door. Or all of the above. What do we think?
D.
D. You're darn right. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our neighbors. They're on their own. God helps those who help themselves. Neighbors can help us too. Make too much noise. Raise your hand if your neighbors make too much noise. Who among us? Or they're real neighbors. They don't believe in Christ. What do we think?
B.
Bam. Very nice. You know, if you answer the question, you might be able to get a
I
donut.
can't see.
Global warming is a neighborhood issue. True or false?
True, because we're neighbors.
Oh, wah. It is a neighborhood issue because it affects all of those people around us. Okay? All right. Helping people with food and water is keeping the commandment, you shall not kill. What do we think? Second chance. True. Yes, very good. Very good. All right. Which person did not pass by the injured man in the parable? Just so great. What do you think?
Good Samaritan.
Oh, Jesus didn't.
Hey.
The Samaritan was.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing.
All right. The Bible says that what is commanded by God? Texting your friends, singing in church, hospitality, or charity. This is a tough one. Trick question. What do you think?
The Bible says that it's commanded by God. D. No, it's not. It's C or D. One of the two. I got it right.
Charity is short term. Hospitality means opening your house. Okay. So yes, hospitality is commanded by God. All right. Not a word the entire time. You don't like donuts? Not a big donut fan back here, or just don't like talking? All right. Take a donut. So this is the last week. I want you to just take one. You talked a lot. It's good by you. You talked a lot. It's good by you. I get the rest.
Can I?
All right. Next week, bring your money. Okay? Bring your money. We'll have a good time shopping and have a good time in small group. Thanks, everyone. A real life example.
They're not expecting fun.
Was it?
Some other kids.
Did you recognize any of the ones from Meadowview?
I took their pictures. I asked Amy, stand those guys up because the daughter teaches both schools.
Right. Yeah,
No, I had those kids. So there was two from Deerfield.
Right. The line trying to get my donut?
Meadowview.
Right. It was just Levi and Evan.
And
Yes.
anyway, so I sent it to my daughter. She's like, that's good.
What? I'm ready to answer questions. Great.
That was.
We'll be in your. Okay.
Bob brought the Samaritan. Who thought?
We're gonna do it all by ourselves. Always gonna be very good,
Good job, you.
definitely.
I gave you an extra donut, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Trying to get another one. Remember Pastor Chris used
No,
to
what are you
toss out
talking
I
candy?
do. I do. We might be moving on to something.
No, as soon as you brought
This is
it up,
great.
the first thing I thought of was, that's right, she used to give out candy.
She did. Yeah. So,
Kai's jacket.
All right, give it to me.
Good. Oh, there's no hood.